Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. This video is for the shy friend who silently cheers her bestie on as that girl gets asked to the prom by some super hunk. Sometimes in life, you don't get the attention you deserve. Life isn't fair. There's no cosmic abacus, with some people getting more charisma but less intelligence, like some character creator in a video game. Sometimes you meet someone who's smarter than you, better looking than you, stronger than you, makes more money than you, has better hair than you, and that's life, buddy. Life isn't fair. And these poor backup commanders, they have to deal with being second fiddle. They're just chilling in the 99, waiting for their chance to shine, while their bigger, stronger buddies catch the winning touchdown. I often find these commanders more interesting to build around than the face commanders anyways. In the past, we've gotten amazing backup commanders with unique build-around mechanics like Tivit, Seller of Secrets, Brutaclad, Telcor Engineer, and Verena, the Lich Queen. Well, listen, don't worry. Old Nikki G is here to give them the attention they deserve, and some of them, believe me, deserve all the attention they can get. If you enjoy this rambling silliness, then remember that I'm over here on the sidelines, silently cheering on other creators. So subscribe, tell me your secret thoughts in the comments, brothers. Alright, let's talk about the best one first. Shalai and Halar, another incredibly popular YouTube channel, gave this a low power level, and I don't think that could be further from the truth. These two met as motion capture actors, right? They were kind of peripherally aware of each other. Their agents would say, oh, Halar got that one. They needed a really crazy pose, and he was able to knock it out of the park. He went full scorpion. Halar's agent would call and say, oh, they needed an arm upward and leg sideways, and you can't really do that without wings, that kind of stuff. Eventually, these two decided just to open their own studio, fire the agents, and just cultivate talent in-house. You got Shalai and Halar, one red, green, and a white for a legendary creature, Angel Elf. It's a 3/3 with flying and vigilance. Whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on a creature you control, Shalai and Halar deal that much damage to target opponent. Now there are some really sweet combos you can get into with this commander, some creature-based combos. But even if you aren't building in the combo or you can't get your combo online, there are so many ways to put extra counters on creatures. You have cards like Hardened Scales, Kami of Whispered Hopes, Ozolith, the Shattered Spire, Pure Imaginative Rascal, Lae'zel, Vlaakith's Champion, however the heck you say that. You got Conclave Mentor out there. They all put an extra counter each time you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. Now, I'm never going to advocate for doubling season because it's an insane card and it's $100. There are a number of doublers out there that you can use to put double the counters on creatures. You got Hydra's Growth, Fractal Harness, Invigorating Surge, Colonian Hydra, which is in the precon. You got Voracious Hydra, Primordial Hydra, Solidarity of Heroes. You ever see Visions of Dominance, brother? I love the art on this thing. The frog is daring to dream, my friend, and that's what we all need to do. Everybody wants to be the Gitrog monster, but only some ever achieve that level of rotund glory. Everybody wants to get big, but nobody wants to eat like they want to get big, brother. Now you're going to be hearing this a lot, but Solfim goes in this deck too. This guy, it seems like he goes in every gosh darn deck that I'm making. All these things are doing non-combat damage, Shalai and Halar, so that's going to be fantastic to double up that damage. This deck also wants lots of protection spells. You're going to be building a big board with counters. Heroic Intervention, you got the Silk Guard out there. Teferi's Protection, Guardian of Faith, dude. This guy's 1 white for a creature Spirit Knight with Flash and Vigilance. When this thing enters the battlefield, any number of other target creatures you control phase out. It's a 3/2. This is great because the counters stay on the phased out creatures. For sure, someone is going to want to wipe the board, and this is a budget Teferi's Protection. Wait a second, dude. Is this the deck for Retaliator Griffin? Everybody has this card. It was a promo for something back in the day. Every collection I buy has a million of these things. Anyways, the real deal with this deck is a combo. As far as I can ascertain, it's a 2-card combo with at least 3 creatures. You got War Elemental, which is red for a creature elemental. It's a 1/1. When War Elemental enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless an opponent was dealt damage this turn. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Whenever an opponent is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on War Elemental. Combo right out. Then you got the Red Terror, 3 and a red for a legendary creature, Tyrannid. It's a 4/3. Whenever a red source you control deals damage to one or more permanents or players, put a +1/+1 counter on the Red Terror. And then it deals one, Shalai and Halar deals 1 damage, and then you put a +1/+1 counter. Come on, dude. Yeah. Then you got the buffest god out there, dude. Heliod the Sun Crown, 2 and a white for a legendary enchantment creature god. It's a 5/5 with Indestructible. As long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Heliod isn't a creature. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. Has 1 and a white, another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. Just give your commander lifelink, brother. Now you're going to want to tutor these right out of your deck. This is a creature-based combo, and there are a number of tutors in these colors that can go get any of these. You got Congregation at Dawn, you got Court of Calling, Eladamri's Call, Worldly Tutor, Eldritch Evolution, Rocco out there making the spaghettis. You got Shared Summons, and how about this guy? You got old Rumble Nuts out there about to blow the shofar, blow the walls down, dude. Signal the clans, red and a green for an instant. Search your library for 3 creature cards, reveal them. If you reveal 3 cards with different names, choose one of them at random, put that card in your hand, shuffle the rest into your library. You only need 1, dude, and this is a cheap tutor that can get 1 into your hand. Alright, to kind of wrap this up here, Shalai and Halar are awesome, they're extremely powerful, and they're going to be great build-arounds. Now these two were both in law school. They met at a brewery tour in Vermont, and after a long career as attorneys, they opened up an antique store and live in harmony with the earth in Manchester. You got Elenda and Azor, 3 white, blue, and a black for a legendary creature, Vampire Knight Sphinx, 6/6 flying in Ward 2, pretty good stat line. Whenever Elenda and Azor attacks, you may pay X white, blue, and a black. If you do, draw X cards. At the beginning of each end step, you may pay 4 life. If you do, create a number of 1/1 black Vampire Knight creature tokens with lifelink equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn. Vampire Knight Sphinx. Pretty bonkers, costs 6 mana. The first ability is fine, but it's a backup for the real draw cards and wheels like Windfall, Whispering Madness, and any number of cards like Game Plan. Now that second ability triggers at each end step, so instants like Emergency Powers and repeatable draw effects like Ristic Study that trigger on an opponent's turn can generate all kinds of extra little dudes if you want to pay the life. Very similar card to Quiza, Augur of Agonies, and the cards that go in that deck are going to go in this deck. You could really lean into the card draw aspect and capitalize with cards like Psychosis Crawler and Vodalian Wave Knight from the precon. The tokens and our commander are knights. And so is this guy, the Sanctum Seeker. Seems like a real shoe-in here. Hits each opponent for an extra ping per attacking token. Look at this guy, the old Nosferatu. You got Varak Warped Sengir, 1 white and a black for a legendary creature vampire. It's a 2/2 with flying, death touch, and lifelink. Whenever you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability, if life was paid to activate it, you may pay that much life again. If you do copy that ability, you can choose new targets for the copy. It's a vampire that can just double up our dudes. You can also capitalize off of creatures entering the battlefield with Soul Warden and creatures like this. Get the life you paid back immediately. Ayara, First Lochthwain, is fantastic in a deck where you're making a bunch of black Vampire Knight tokens. What a hot lady she is, she's drinking wine all the time. You got Aven Windguide, 2 white and a blue for a creature Bird Warrior. It's a 2/3 with flying and vigilance. Creature tokens you control have flying and vigilance, as in Bomb for 4 blue and a white. Imagine this guy's Tinder profile, right? It's just pictures of his abs, you know? And then when he meets his date in real life, they're like, oh, wait a sec, you have a bird head, dude? You didn't mention that. Speaking of bird head, you're in solid control colors here. You have access to some of the best card draw in the game, like Kindred Discovery. Esper had some of the best removal as well. Overall, very interesting wheel deck with a Vampire Knight flavor that can capitalize on the cards that enhance those creature types. Creature and token based drain cards would be awesome here as well, and are in the precon to boot, like Corpse Knight. Alright, on to the next one here. This art is so goofy, dude. Look at St. Traft. He looks like he's about to tell some kids to get off of his lawn. So this guy and Rem Carolus are out here, blue, red, and white for a legendary creature Spirit Human. It's a 3/4. Whenever St. Traft and Rem Carolus become tapped, create a 1/1 red human creature token if this is the first time this ability has resolved this turn. If it's the second time, create a 1/1 blue spirit creature token with flying. And if it's the third time, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. Whenever you cast a spell that has Convoke, untap this idiot. I don't know, man. Maybe this guy just belongs in the 99 of a Kazla deck. There are untappers you can use, but the payoff is an angel token, and only 1 per turn. This is solid in the Kazla deck, though, especially if you juice it up with Convoke cards from outside the precon. Sorry, Rem and Traft, you guys aren't getting asked to the prom this year. If you have any secret tech, shout it out in the comments, but this is a no for me, Randy Jackson. Look at these 2 stinky bros just stinking up the joint. These 2 work out of a fumigation truck, spraying for bed bugs and fleas. You got Moira and Tishar, Extermination Firm, 3 white and black for a legendary creature, Phyrexian Spirit Bird. It's a 4/5 with flying. Whenever you cast a historic spell, return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste. Exile it at the beginning of the next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. This is an interesting card. It brings up an interesting rules corner case. Cards like Cloud Shift exile the card but return it. It satisfies that last condition, so you get to permanently keep the creature after that. ETB effects like Massacre Worm, Angel of the Ruin, Sister Hospitaller would be fantastic in this deck. You also need a fairly critical mass of artifacts and or historic spells to cast to get the effect. Graveyard tutors like Entomb and Vile Entomber would be great to get huge effects out of the yard onto the battlefield. Reanimator strategies in these colors along with an ETB and Blink could fill out a fairly mid-power deck. Overall, I like this card, but the exile at the beginning of the next end step makes me not want to devote an entire deck to it. Too many hoops to jump through, and you have to cast a historic spell to boot. I think I pass on this one. You ain't making the team this year, Moira. Alright, these two worked in the little room that houses all the roller skates at the roller rink. They won a class action lawsuit for the loss of their sense of smell. That's anosmia, dude. From the spray that they had to use in the skates. Rashmi and Ragavan, 1 green, blue, and a red for a legendary creature, Elf Monkey. It's a 2/4. Whenever you cast your first spell during each of your turns, exile the top card of a target opponent's library and create a treasure token. Then you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost if it's a spell with mana value less than the number of artifacts you control. If you don't cast it this way, you may cast it this turn. Okay, this is terrible. The turn you cast it does nothing because you already cast your first spell. Then you have to wait until your next turn to cast anything that will trigger this thing. Awful. In the meantime, you're generating treasures and tokens and artifacts, but you have no idea what's on your opponent's library. It only hits like one opponent. So 30 to 40% of the time, you're going to hit a land, dude. And for all these hoops, you get maybe 1 or 2 free cards per game. Get out of here with this. No wonder nobody asked these two to the prom, dude. They would bore you to death with what she feeds the monkey all day. The monkey's not going to let you give her a smooch on the cheek, dude. He'll just rip off one of your fingers. It's too cute, too many hoops to jump through, all to make a treasure token. Blah, blah, blah. Put in Academy Manufacturer, put in Zorn, or better yet, put this card in your bulk box, go cry in the corner of your room and never think about it again, dude. I want to give a special shout out to one of my supporters, Tyler, dude. Thanks for buying me a coffee. You are the man, and thanks for being a supporter all the way through. I've been doing this for about a year, and I've had some dudes that have been with me the whole time, and you're one of them, brother. So those are the backup commanders from this year, with only Elenda and Azor and Shalai and Halar being interesting to build around. Pretty powerful cards I give a B+ to. I think the other 3 are whiffs, but let me know what you think in the comments. I think the other 3 are little parasitic designs, they're overcosted, underpowered for what they do. This is Nicky G from Better Commander signing off.